Good morning, everyone. So today my topic is assistive educational technologies. I want to briefly talk about two works that I am doing with my students. The first one is learning system for dyslexia, and the second one is language comprehension in Braille. And also the first is a system, so it is more a development of the word. And the second one is inspired from the language comprehension and text readability research, and how we can extend that research for disability as well. So these are joint works. With Dr. Anupam Basu, who is professor at Computer Science and Engineering in IIT Kharagpur, and now he is the director of NIT Durgapur. So Anupam Basu is working in assistive technology since 1999, and he founded many labs like communication empowerment labs, and also we had this media lab Asia at IIT Kharagpur, and and he has also overlooked the development of many hardware and software systems for different disabilities. Like we had sweepstakes, Sanjog, Samvidha, Shiksha. So either they were the total complete hardware devices or different software interfaces. And these are my two students, Deepshika and Bhumoni. So one is doing her master's and another is doing her PhD. And apart from that, we are also supported by BTech students. And these works are also mentored by Tirthankar. So Tirthankar is my friend and colleague, and we did PhD together. And he is now a research scientist at TCS R&I labs. So going to the first system, this is a joint work done with Deepshika, uh, an assistive system for teaching sentence reading to children with dyslexia. And we have come up with this system after our discussions with a couple of educational organizations who teach students with dyslexia. So both of these works are as a result of our discussions and understanding from different disability organizations. So let us now look into the learning to read part. So when we learn to read, we need to actually master different steps of reading, like introducing the letters and the sounds and learning an association between them. Then we need to learn the blending, that how to characters come together, and then about the word formation, and finally learning the meaning of the word. So associate a word to a concrete concept. And then, basically we need to learn the word spellings, rules and meaning. In the next step, that is for the sentence formation, so only learning the word meanings are not sufficient. So we also need to understand that how different words in a sentence come together, what are their grammatical rules, and what is the end meaning of the sentence. And then there are some grammar dictates as well, like we need to do the capitalization of the first character of each sentence. Now, with dyslexia, we face challenges, like the students with dyslexia, they encounter challenges in different parts of this learning to read stages. It can be at this recognizing the letters, or in letter to sound mapping, in learning the blending, in word formation, or this breaking word to letters. And then from the word stage, when we move to the sentence formation stage, there are also difficulty. Like, so what we have understood from our discussions, that even if the student with dyslexia is taught to learn the meaning of a word, but when the word is getting put in a sentence, the child may face difficulty in learning and processing the sentence. So for that, we want to develop a system based on the multisensory teaching approach for dyslexia, that where we can support all these three sensory modalities for effective learning: reading, listening and writing. So it will help to retain things, and also the process is that the child will practice it again and again, and by that will have better learning outcome. Now, what were our motivations to develop this system for learning to read sentences? So, teaching one child through multisensory method is time taking, and then every time the special educator needs to sit with the student and assess each student for each of the task and performance. And also nowadays it is preferred to learn through a computer assisted environment, and we thought that if we can come up with a comprehensive framework, we can automate that process, and we can also have audiovisual feedbacks in the real time, and we can store the performance, and the teacher can also evaluate it over time. And with COVID, when we saw this online learning, remote learning, so this kind of systems will also enable the students to learn by herself. So the teacher can set some tasks and assignments, and the student can keep doing this task, keep practicing, as all the performance reports are are generated and stored, so that teacher can come back and assess later. So the objectives are to develop interface to offer multisensory teaching, and then we calculate all the response times for each sentences, and we generate a performance report after each task. So all these three has three different development components, and it will help the special educators in teaching sentence reading. So as I have said that even a student with dyslexia understand the letter meaning, has mastered this part, but there can be some challenges in learning to read sentences. So sentence teaching is also important, like words and phonemes. So now, how we have addressed the issue, or how we have addressed the development. So these are just the four broad steps. We first understood the problem domain, and then we decided on the implementation approach. And after the system development, we have also tested the usability of the system with the special educators and the parents of the students. Now, at each phase of the development, I have kept the slides to highlight that you can see there are many rounds of changes, first iteration, second iteration, and then go on, and finally we have come to our temporary finalization. So why this many iterations? Because starting from the beginning until at this part that we are adding, every time we have developed like one cut of the system, and we went back to the special educators and the dyslexia organization, and we have asked that, do you think if I create a task like this, it will be appropriate? Do you think that my compartmentalization of the different tasks, the modules, are they appropriate, or what kind of functionalities we should have to store the performance? So initially, as we come from a different strand of research, we thought that we will store the response time for each words in each sentences, and also like, so every time the students does the task, this database is getting populated, right? But then the special educators told us that instead of going like that, go via this, like you stored, like you give a task, give a time limit, and then you count the number of sentences, and then store the response time or the performance report corresponding to each of them. So that will help them to evaluate better, or to understand or decode better the performance of the students. So to come up with the system, we needed to work on the curriculum design. So there are some components, like at each step, based on the kind of task that we want to give, and the hardness of the task that we want to give. So we had to work on the spelling rules, sentence length, word lengths in a sentence, vowel modifiers, and the presence of concrete words. So each of these bullet points, they makes one type of task. So say for example, when we say the vowel modifiers and conjuncts, we give words containing different vowel modifiers and conjuncts at different difficulty levels within a sentence, and there are like the set of 5 tasks for each of these points, and the students gradually needs to complete each of the 5 tasks. And also the student will start from this part, so learning basic spelling rules, and then gradually working on the increasing length of the sentence, and then even within the same sentence having a longer length words, and having the vowel modifiers and the consonant conjuncts, which are otherwise called the yuktakshars, and then the presence of the concrete words, so that is more like a conceptual words. Like if you want to say hat, so you need to say identify that like hat is a concrete object, so things like that. And we have implemented the multisensory teaching approach using different technical modalities. So like for listening, we have the text-to-speech engine. For reading, we have display screen, we have speech-to-text engine. So the child can speak out the sentence, and for writing, we have the virtual keyboard, but we are also trying to add a component of the writing field, that where the child can write with say a digital pen on the touchpad or on the tablet, and it will be recorded. So this is so it is a very simple interface. As you can see here, here we give the task sentence that the child needs to learn to read, and at that part the child, and it comes like the one word at a time. So that is also as per the directions of the special educators, that instead of showing the whole sentence at the same time, you give the one word at a time, and then you complete the sentence. So like first word, first 2 words, first 3 words, and so on. And the child needs to write the sentence, and also she can listen to it, and she also needs to speak out the sentence. And there are also some hints. So we start with the short vowels. So say if we have something with a, so the child gets a hint that you need to say it like apple or igloo or octopus, things like that. And these task sets are defined by the special educators. And this interface we have, apart from English, we also have language supports for Bangla and Hindi, because the vowel diacritics or the consonant conjuncts, they are applicable for the Indian languages. So for that we worked with the special educators, and we asked that if you want to teach in Hindi or Bangla, what kind of language specific characteristics you also need to accommodate, because each language is different. So a child learning in Bangla need to understand and learn the use of the vowel diacritics. And for each of these languages, we also have the hints with the picture. So this is ka. So kak means crow. So we have the picture of the crow to kind of give the child a hint that what you are going to learn or read. And then we also have interfaces to write the consonant conjuncts, because just from this keyboard it may be difficult. So this is an example of the Hindi interface. And as I have said, as we wanted to incorporate the audiovisual feedback approach. So we have a text-to-speech engine from where the child can listen to the sentence, and we also have a speech-to-text in the speech recognition system to understand if the child is saying the words correctly, or reading the sentence correctly. Now there were some challenges in that, because technically all the speech recognition systems, even if you don't say the correct thing, they are set with the autocorrect, right? They will complete the phonemes, and they will try to predict if what would have been the correct output. But we wanted to do just the opposite. We wanted to understand if the output is incorrect and how incorrect is that. So for that we needed to work with a little bit of the speech recognition systems as well, and then we came up with a score that on with the ideal sentence and ideal speech output of the sentence, and then what the child is saying, and we have set a threshold. And then also, so this part also helps us to understand the reading correctness. And we also ask the child to write. So ideally the child should be able to write with she will do it on the pen and paper, but right now it is on the virtual keyboard, and there is also a correctness employed. So this is the workflow diagram of the whole system. I am not going through it. And then we have the performance report generated automatically for each task. So it records that how much time the child has a need for assistance. So need for assistance means those small picture clues or the word formation with the with the vowel or the consonant conjuncts, those we have given within the sentences. What are the response times for completing the task, and how many errors have been occurred. And then we give a feedback if the child writes the sentence correctly and or not. And we did evaluation with the experts, that is the special educators, on the effectiveness, instruction design, aesthetic and contents. And also we discussed with the parents of the children with dyslexia. So ideally we would have liked to work with the children themselves, but due to the pandemics and we couldn't get hold of as many number of children as required. So these are some of the uh, feedback and comments from the educators. As you can see that they have provided inputs about the use of the icons, components, modules, and whether this kind of systems will be effective for them or not. And we also asked the parents about the effectiveness of the system. So while they have said that it will be useful, but there are some serious user interface considerations, like it looks dull, gives more colors, and like the organization of the yuktakshars are not okay, so it looks little clumsy. So basically what we the takeaway is that this is just a this is the first step towards developing such a system. And while, as you can see, the educators comments are more from the usability part, and while we have achieved quite a lot on that, but from the user interface or to getting the keeping the student engaged, apart from the engineering and the development considerations, we also need to look into the user interfaces. And so basically the negative comments that will help us to improve our system further. So now let me go to the second part of the talk. Time kill, how much? Almost done. Couple of minutes? Okay, fine. Yeah. So one of my scholars, Moni, she is working on the language-specific reading comprehension in Braille. So I will just quickly say what are the motivations behind this. So I work in natural language processing, and one of the directions that we are working is called text readability. Basically, it deals with computational modeling of how we understand language and how we can make textbook better by understanding where a student or a reader will face difficulty. But all of the, and we are doing text readability for over 100 years now, but all of the researches, they are focused on the print reading for the sighted readers. But it is not only about knowing the words and concept, but readability or language comprehension also depends a lot on the representation, like the words representation, the orthography of the words, the sentence length, word length, all these kinds of things. So we thought that can we start doing a text readability research for Braille script. And as Moni's mother tongue is in Odia, and we always wanted to work on the Indian languages, so we started working on the Odia Braille script, and we are just in the preliminary stage to understand the kind of to understand even the metrics or the features that we consider, because there is no precedent and we are facing lots of challenges in designing the experiment in absence of the proper experimental devices. So till now it is manual, I am just keeping to it, but as it is animation I need to keep on clicking. So we are doing manual processing of the videos of the braille reading, and then we are doing a letter analysis like this, and also we are taking the hand movement characteristics, because nowadays reading research is being happened with the eye trackers, but in this case we thought that can we take the hand movements as a correspondence as a counterpart to the eye trackers for braille. And we thank these different disability organizations and school to help us. And just another thing, I will just take 1 minute. Professor Basu Tirthankar and I, especially Professor Basu, who is working in for long in this space. So what the challenge that we face, that we have very nice assistive systems designed to the part of our prototype, where we can do a demo, where we can write a paper, but there is a huge challenges and gaps to actually take it to the end user. So we three came together, and as the most intuitive thing is to do, we formed a non-profit foundation called Inclusive Future Foundation just last month. So our objective is to to start with taking some of our old products and new upcoming products to the target user group, and also to work in the teaching products and services space for assistive technology. So thank you.